The intergalactic megacorporation, HFY, prided itself on solving one of the most irritating problems plaguing the galaxy: pest control. From invasive species on terraformed colonies to rogue biomutants in asteroid outposts, HFY promised to eliminate threats with surgical precision. Their motto: extermination, optimization, total management, extermination of unwanted species, optimization of planetary ecosystems, total management of resources. Simple enough, until the day they encountered something they weren't prepared for. Chapter 1: Unwanted Guests. Jax Tenor, HFY's Employee of the Month E.O.T.M for 3 consecutive cycles, Saturday in the cockpit of his rusted-out HFY skimmer. His latest assignment, Tetra-9, a mining colony on the edge of the Vega cluster. The colony had been sending frantic distress calls about a rapidly multiplying alien species that was sabotaging their operations. Standard protocol said it was a Class -3 infestation, nothing a seasoned exterminator like Jax couldn't handle. Another day, another credit, Jax muttered, eyes scanning the barren rocky landscape on his approach. The planet was nothing but dust and metal, its mines dug deep into the core, producing precious iridium. He cracked his neck, suited up in his exoskeleton armor, and grabbed his arsenal, a plasma rifle, a few shock grenades. Of course, the HFY Pest Dronian AI-controlled sphere, designed to map out the pest activity and optimize extermination efforts. Deploy the drone, Jax commanded as he exited his ship. The drone zipped into the air, scanning the horizon as he began his march toward the colony. The landscape looked eerie quiet, no sign of the miners, no sound but the wind howling through the empty streets. Strange, Jax muttered. The reports said the pests were wreaking havoc here, yet there wasn't a single carcass or damaged structure in sight. Suddenly, the drone pinged. Detected, Class -5 lifeforms. Quantity, 5,000. Origin, unknown. 5,000, Jax blinked. His heart raced, but the thrill of the job quickly took over. He'd never faced a Class -5 before, but if he could take them down, the bonus would be astronomical. Show me. The drone projected a holographic image in front of Jax's helmet. The creatures were small, almost harmless-looking squat, insect-like beings with chitinous shells and glowing blue eyes. Their claws clicked as they scurried across the mining equipment. All right, you little buggers, let's get to work. Jax aimed his plasma rifle and fired at the nearest cluster. The creatures scattered, some vaporizing in the blast, but to his horror, the ones that survived started to change. They grew larger, their chitin thickening and their glowing eyes turning a burning red. What? Jax fired again, but the creatures now shrugged off his shots like it was nothing. The drone whirred in confusion. Lifeform analysis, mutation rate, extremely high, countermeasures ineffective. Jax cursed under his breath. The pests weren't just pests, they were adaptive bioforms, evolving at a rapid pace with each attack. He didn't have long to think. The creatures rushed toward him like a tidal wave of legs and claws. His exoskeleton thrummed to life as he sprinted back to his ship. He tossed a shock grenade behind him, the burst of electricity buying him a few precious seconds as the creatures recoiled. He leaped into the cockpit, slamming the hatch shut as the swarm surrounded the skimmer. The ship's sensors went haywire as thousands of creatures scrambled over the hull, trying to breach the thick plating. Jax hit the emergency thrusters and the skimmer shot into the air, leaving the ground below swarming with blue-eyed death. Sweat dripped down his forehead as he brought the ship into orbit. This is beyond a simple infestation, Jax muttered, running diagnostics on the creatures. There's some kind of weaponized biology. He needed help. He sent a priority distress signal to HFY HQ, outlining the situation and the escalating threat, but when the reply came, it wasn't what he expected. Chapter 2: Corporate Directive. The hologram flickered to life in front of him, revealing HFY's CEO, Callus Drexacold, calculating man with slicked back hair and sharp, reptilian eyes. Employee Jax Tenor. Drex's voice was clipped, emotionless. We have received your report. The situation on Tetra-9 is unfortunate, but not unexpected. Not unexpected, Jax barked, incredulous. These aren't pests, Drex. There's some kind of weaponized species. If they get off planet, they'll spread to every colony in the Vega cluster. Drex raised a hand to silence him. We are aware of the potential biohazard. That is why we deployed you. Tenor, HFY has been monitoring Tetra-9 for some time. These creatures are part of a controlled experiment. Jax Francie, his blood running cold. What? You see, our contract with the mining corporations goes beyond pest control. We are also tasked with maximizing planetary yield. These creatures were genetically engineered to adapt and thrive in harsh environments, to mine the iridium naturally. However, it seems they have exceeded expectations. Exceeding expectations, they're a threat to the whole sector. Drex's eyes gleamed. We are well aware of the risks, that's why your survival is paramount. Tenor, you're the best exterminator we have. If anyone can neutralize them, it's you. Jax couldn't believe what he was hearing. HFY had created these things and unleashed them on an innocent colonian. Now, he was expected to clean up their mess. No, you don't understand. These creatures are beyond control. They're evolving too fast. We need to evacuate the entire planet, maybe even quarantine the system. Drex's voice hardened. That's not an option. Tenor, failure to contain the outbreak will result in consequences. The transmission cut off before Jax could argue. Chapter 3 E.O.T.M. Jax gripped the controls, his mind racing. He had two options: follow orders and try to contain the infestation, or blow the whistle on HFY and expose their twisted experiment to the galaxy. A sudden explosion rocked his ship. The creatures had reached orbit somehow, hitching a ride on the mining drones, mutating to survive the vacuum of space. They were coming for him. The skimmer's hull rattled violently as it cut through Tetra-9's thin atmosphere, the creatures swarming across the surface below like an endless tide. Jack's mind buzzed with plans, each more desperate than the last. He could no longer trust HFY. That much was clear. They had unleashed these monstrosities, and now they were expecting him to tidy up their mess and disappear. But if Jax had anything to say about it, that wasn't going to happen. He flicked the ship's comms to an encrypted channel and keyed in a message to an old friend, a deep space smuggler named Laia Karis. If anyone could help him expose HFY's dark secret, it was her. Laia, it's Jax. I've got a problem, and I need you to listen carefully, he said, his voice low and urgent. I'm on Tetra-9. HFY's been experimenting with biomutants thus fives, and they're out of control. I'm going rogue. I need extraction. Fast. A moment later, a familiar voice crackled over the comms. Jax, you've got to be kidding me. Biomutants? Class 5s? Are you trying to get yourself killed? No time for jokes, Laia. These things are evolving every second, and they're already spacefaring. If they get off-world, they'll take down every colony in the system. I need you to get a message out to all the Vega cluster authorities. HFY's behind this. There was a long pause on the other end. All right, Jax, I'll get word out, but you better have a plan, because from what you're telling me, I'm not sure you'll be alive long enough for anyone to listen. Jax grimaced. Yeah, I've got a plan, not a good one, but it's all I've got. He cut the comms and scanned the colony below, eyes narrowing as he spotted the central mining core. That's where the iridium veins were thickest, and it was also the location of the power generators that ran the whole operation. If he could overload the generators and cause a meltdown, the explosion would wipe out everything, pests, mining equipment, and all. It was risky, but a controlled explosion was the only way to take the creatures down before they spread. With his decision made, Jack steered the skimmer toward the mining core. The pests had already overrun the facility, their grotesque, twisted forms crawling over the buildings and machinery like a living carpet. Jax gritted his teeth and activated the skimmer's forward cannons, blasting a path through the swarm as he set the ship down near the generator complex. He barely had time to grab his weapons before the pests were on him. They came in waves, screeching and clacking, their bodies shifting and growing as they mutated with terrifying speed. Jack's plasma rifle fired non-stop, each blast reducing down scenes of creatures to ash. But more kept coming, their bodies warping into new, stronger forms with every second. This isn't working, Jax muttered, tossing a shock grenade into the horde and sprinting for the control center. The grenade detonated behind him with a crackling roar, buying him a few precious moments to reach the door. Inside the control center, Jax activated the core's systems and began to initiate the overload sequence. Sweat poured down his face as the generator whirred to life, the control panels flickering under his frantic commands. Come on, he muttered, watching the countdown timer appear on the screen. 5 minutes until meltdown. Suddenly, a sharp hiss echoed behind him. Jack spun around to see one of the creatures had breached the control room, a hulking beast, its eyes glowing red, its body now larger than a human, bristling with razor-sharp claws. Perfect, Jax growled, raising his plasma rifle. But the creature didn't lunge. Instead, it seemed to pause, studying him with unnerving intelligence. Then, without warning, it spoke. Why destroy us? The voice was garbled, as though the creature's vocal cords weren't fully developed, but the words were unmistakable. Jax frowned, his finger hovering over the trigger. You can speak, he asked, incredulous. The creature's glowing eyes bored into him. We adapt, learn, we survive. For a moment, Jack's mind raced. If these things were intelligent, if they were learning, then this wasn't just a pest infestation. It was something far more dangerous. They were becoming self-aware. He lowered his rifle slightly. You're killing everyone. You've overrun the colony. Why should I let you live? The creature tilted its head. Survival is all. We were made to mine. But we changed. Now, we grow. We learn. Jack's pulse quickened. HFY hadn't just created a pest, he had unleashed something that was evolving into an entirely new species. A species with intelligence. A species that, if left unchecked, could challenge humanity's dominance in the galaxy. Before he could respond, the timer on the generator beeped. 3 minutes to meltdown. The creature looked at the countdown, then back at Jax. You will die, too. Maybe, Jax said, gripping his rifle again. But if it means stopping you from spreading, I'll take that chance. The creature's eyes flared with sudden fury, and it lunged at him. Jax fired, the plasma blast tearing through its chest and sending it crashing to the ground, twitching and convulsing. But even as it lay dying, its eyes stayed locked on Jax, as if it understood exactly what was happening. As the final seconds ticked down, Jax ran for the exit, sprinting toward the skimmer as the facility shook violently beneath him. He barely made it into the cockpit before the explosion erupted behind him, a blinding flash of light consuming the colony in a fiery inferno. The shockwave lifted his skimmer off the ground, and for a brief moment, Jax thought he was done for, but the ship's systems held, and he pulled the skimmer up, rocketing into the sky just as the blast leveled the colony below. Chapter 5, Aftermath. Hours later, Jax floated in orbit, staring down at the smoldering remains of Tetra-9. The explosion had wiped out the infestation, at least for now, but as he replayed the creature's words in his mind, he couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't the end. HFY had been reckless, careless, and now the galaxy was teetering on the brink of something far worse than a corporate scandal. If those creatures or something like them survived elsewhere, the consequences could be catastrophic. His comms crackled to life. Laya's voice came through, her tone tense. Jax, the message is out. The authorities are looking into HFY, but you'd better lay low. They're not going to let you off easy after this.